All right, I think we are all set to begin the webinar. So, konnichiwa, namaste, hello everyone. Welcome to this webinar, Study and Work in Japan, Session 1. My name is Sakshi Rai and I'm the Assistant Manager here with the University of Tokyo, India office. And I am so glad to see that there are so many students joined us today for this exciting webinar, Study and Work in Japan, Session 1, hosted by the University of Tokyo, India office and hosted by a wonderful expert from world-class Japanese universities. So before we start, let me give you a brief introduction about Study and Work in Japan project. So we are the part of Studying Japan Global Network project in Southwest Asia by MEXT, and our aim is to promote studying in Japan on behalf of all of the Japanese universities through collaboration and networking between overseas regional offices. So being a part of Global 30 project, we provide comprehensive information on Japanese universities and we organize education fairs and seminars throughout India. Also, we manage these committees for coordinator for study in Japan. So today is the first day of this webinar series and is sponsored by MEX, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports Science and Technology in Japan. And through all these sessions, our mission is to introduce Japanese universities to you and to assist you to study and work in Japan. So without further ado, let me begin by introducing our agenda for today. So can we have the agenda slide, please? All right. Thank you, Ms. Vaishnavi. So today's webinar is scheduled for 2 hours, and today we are joined by our experts from prestigious Japanese universities and students who are currently pursuing their higher studies in Japan. So I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of our expert panelists who joined us for this webinar today. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this webinar. So each university will be having presentation time of 20 minutes, and after each presentation, we have a time for Q&A session of 5 minutes. So a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into the webinar itself. There is a Q&A feature within your Zoom panel. So please go ahead and submit your questions to the Q&A panel, and I request all the panelists to please be on mute and switch your videos off when you're not presenting. All right, so without further delay, let's start the presentation on overview of study and work in Japan by Ms. Vaishnavi Thakur, who is a master's student at the University of Tokyo in Japan. So I request Ms. Thakur to please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Sakshi. I'll share my screen now. Okay, so hello everyone. Very good evening. Welcome back to the Study and Work in Japan session. So I'm Vaishnavi Thakur. I'm a master's second year student in the Department of Electrical Engineering and Information Systems. So let me introduce you to the study and work life in Japan. So why did I choose Japan, and why do I think Japan is one of the best places for the higher education? So as you know, Japan is an island country in East Asia. It is one of the most densely populated and urbanized countries in the world. Life in Japan is very peaceful and it's full of opportunities. This is evident from the fact that according to the 2021 rankings, Osaka and Tokyo have been ranked as the most livable cities, and Tokyo is considered as the best student cities. So I agree that moving to another country puts a lot of stress on parents and students. So let me emphasize here that Japan offers a quality education and also a quality lifestyle. So let's look into the lifestyle in Japan. So when we look at the public transportation is the safest and the most convenient option. Students need not worry about how they can commute from their dormitories or their apartments to the universities. And when it comes to the food, Japan offers various international cuisine options like Indian, Chinese, European, and so on. Even though you are a vegetarian, you need not worry if there is vegetarian food available here, because you can find plenty of options in convenience stores or the supermarkets and also in the restaurants. Another salient features of living in Japan is its national health insurance policy. So when students fall sick, parents can get worried. So like parents need not worry about their child's health, because there is an excellent health insurance coverage. The government covers about 65% of the medical expenses, and the rest is covered by the university as well. So this is about the lifestyle in Japan. And now let's look at the education in the universities in Japan. So before that, let's know about the education system in Japan. Japanese university system is divided into three main categories, that is public, private, and national universities. So one misconception we have in these universities is about the language of instruction. So because these universities are in Japan and Japanese, it's not a requirement that we need to have know Japanese language to study in them, because these universities offer various English-based programs. When we look at them, for the undergraduate programs, there are around 90 English courses offered in about 40 universities. And for the graduate programs, there are about 160 programs which are offered in 51 universities. And same is the case for the doctoral programs as well. So this is about the universities in Japan. Let's see the difference between the education system in Japan and India. So in India, usually in order to enter a university, we need to clear national entrance exams or the state entrance exams. So, and also English is the language of instruction. But whereas here, the education in Japan, the admission usually lies with the universities. So the process is, first we apply to the universities or the professors. And once you get the acceptance, then you can easily get the acceptance into the university. So this is the usual admission process into the universities in Japan. Now, not only this, there are also various universities in Japan offer a world-class infrastructure, including libraries, research labs, and sport facilities and university dormitories. So you can have a convenient and a well-balanced academic and personal lifestyle by studying here. So now let's look into how international students can get admissions into these universities. So for admission into bachelor's program, the usual process is to take an entrance exam and submit the SOPs and essays. And for the graduate programs, that is for the master's or PhD programs, the first step is to find a research interest and get in contact with the professors. So once you submit your research proposal and the professor accepts your research proposal, then you can contact the university and follow the usual university admission flow. So this is about the admission. This is a general admission process into bachelor's and graduate programs. But other than this general admission process, there are various other department-specific processes as well, which you can get to know through the various universities which are presenting today. This is about the admissions into these universities. And another interesting feature about studying in Japan is that there are plenty of scholarships available. So usually when we see that generally many people opt for Western countries for higher studies. But here I present a comparison between studying in Western countries like US and Japan. So when we look here, the Japanese university tuition fees is very low when compared to that of the US universities, even though the living expenses are on par with each other. In Japan, we have plenty of scholarships which are offered by the national government and also the local government. And there are many scholarships from the universities and also the private companies. So when students can take advantage of these scholarships and can reduce their burden of studying or pursuing their higher education. Besides this, there are also many opportunities available for working part-time, where you can work part-time and also continue studying alongside. So this is about the admissions into the international universities. Now let's look at the job opportunities. So what happens after you graduate from the universities? When you compare with the other Western countries, you can relate to the pressure or how much a student goes through once he graduates because of the educational loans and also the difficulty in getting the visa process. So, but here in Japan, the visa process is very easy. So the student visa can be easily converted to the working based visa. And also there are many companies like international Japanese companies and also the other global companies which are operating in Japan. So you can target any of these companies and can easily secure a job here. So when we look at some statistics, the unemployment rate in Japan is very low, which is around 2.4%, and also an average salary which a student earns once he graduates is around 3.9 to 4 million yen. So this is about study and work life in Japan. Now let's finally mentioning about my life in Japan. This is how my weekends in Japan are. After the weekdays hustle with research work, we can take out some time for ourselves by pursuing various hobbies. Here, every ward and city has a sports center which you can where you can indulge in your hobbies, and also there's nothing you cannot do here. So if you are a foodie, you can go out and explore different cuisines. And I need not specially mention about the nature in Japan. Japan is also ranked as one of the top tourism development countries in the world. So you have plenty of opportunities to enjoy your personal life as well. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation, and I wish you all the best in coming to Japan for higher studies. I hope I can meet some of you over here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vaishnavi. Thank you for your guidance and for such a motivating presentation. I hope through listening to your experience, I hope that students will be more inclined to pursue studies in Japan. Thank you very much. So can you please share the agenda slide? Thank you. So now let's move on to our next presentation by Ritsumeikan University. So before moving forward, I must tell you that Ritsumeikan University is well known for its international relations and science and engineering departments and is one of the top private universities in Japan. By the QS World University rankings of private universities in March 2022, Ritsumeikan University ranked #1 in Western Japan. So I would like to invite Mr. Daniel Cirillo, Administrator, Ritsumeikan University International Center. He'll be guiding you further about university offerings. So, Mr. Daniel, I request you please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you very much for that introduction. Hello, my name is Danny. They call me Daniel at work. I work at the Ritsumeikan University BKC International Center, and I'm here today to speak with you about mainly about our graduate programs at Ritsumeikan University. So you might be able to see behind me, this is our Kinugasa campus in Kyoto. It's sort of our we have 3 main campuses, but this one's been around the longest of our 3 main campuses. So it's kind of the spiritual home for Ritsumeikan. It's up in the northern part of the city. Looks something like this. So again, thank you for that introduction. Today I will be speaking with you mainly about our graduate programs. So I'd like to see if I can share my screen with you here. So hopefully be able to see this. And yeah, hold on just one moment. I'll get to this slideshow if I can. Okay, so again, Ritsumeikan University in our graduate programs. I would just like to preface, if you are interested in undergraduate programs, or you have a sibling or something who is, we have an email address. I'll share this later on in the chat, but this email address, hello@st.ritsumeikan.ac.jp, will connect you with our international admissions office, and they handle undergraduate admissions, so they can answer any questions you have. We have undergraduate programs in English, and I'll mention a couple of those later on as well. So just to start things off, Ritsumeikan has 20 graduate and professional schools. We're a big university. I think right now 3rd or 4th largest in the country, so big by Japanese university standards. 6 of our master's programs are offered in English, and 7 of our doctoral programs are offered in English. We have international students from over 70 countries and regions, about 1,400 faculty members, and 3,500 graduate students, of which nearly 1,000 are international students. So a large body of our graduate student population is international students. And it looks like I must have pulled that from here, but we also have about, the numbers are a little off because they're a bit pre-COVID, but just under about 3,000 international students in total, out of roughly 35 or 36,000 total students. So we're a pretty big school. So as for our graduate schools, we, again, as I mentioned earlier, that we have three main campuses. One is Osaka Ibaraki campus, which you can see in this rendering here from when the campus was made a couple of years ago. And OIC, or Osaka Ibaraki campus, is home to our policy science and technology management graduate programs. I'll be speaking a bit more about those later. And OIC, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Japan, but it's, this campus is located in Osaka. It's just a short train ride from the central hub of the city, train hub of the city. So you can get, great access to the city life. And also, if you head the other direction, you can get to Kyoto in maybe 20 or 30 minutes. So yeah, it's great if you want to do a bit sightseeing and enjoy that big city life if you're in Japan. This is a look at campus, and I'm happy to say that, our COVID restrictions on the campus, as well as in Japan in general, have really been coming down. And as of this semester, we're having a lot more events in person. So I'm really looking forward to, hopefully having some of you as students and, you being able to enjoy big events like this held on our campus once again, after this long COVID hiatus that we've been having. So this is another look at the campus. This campus is quite new. We opened in about 2015 with this new campus in Osaka, and it's in collaboration with the city. So this is actually a public park, which is part of the university campus. And we also have a lot of other collaboration with local companies and industry here in Osaka. So I'll just mention now about policy science, again, one of the graduate programs at this campus of ours. And policy science, actually, the undergraduate is also offered in English. So you can take your bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree in this program. And policy science, is it's an interesting topic of study because it studies policy. So a lot of people confuse it with, don't you mean political science? And it's like, well, no, policy science is actually studying policy. So one part of policy, politics is certainly related, but more it's about actual engagement with, for example, politicians, for example, with industry and maybe the people living in an area, and then creating a policy which really appeases all parties and makes everybody happy. So it's kind of the study of how to find solutions when there's a lot of different players involved and a lot of different interests involved, trying to find a solution for societal issues that need to be implemented through policy, where that solution sort of meets the standards of as many people as possible and makes as many people as happy as possible. So it's kind of a unique study, and actually in all of the levels here, undergraduate, master's, and doctoral, we do have quite a handful of students from India, as well as some other countries as well. So it's definitely a popular one and worth taking a look. The other graduate school on this campus, which offers their degree program in English, would be technology management. And technology management, they only offer their doctoral degree in English. However, it's despite that, it's quite popular as well with the international students. And it's, certainly a unique field here in Japan. There's not a lot of universities that are really tackling this topic. And certainly, in English, there are even fewer. So this is an interesting one especially for anyone who's interested in technology, interested in finance, or if you happen to, be interested in both, then it's really for you because, what they're trying to resolve at this graduate school are these, issues with companies, for example. You need to have infrastructure. As in these pictures here, you have computers and such in your company, as we have on our campus. But these things get out of date, and you always need to be planning for the future in terms of what's going to be developing technologically, so that you have that competitive edge, or so you can eliminate inefficiencies in your management or in your solutions, in your product lines, and so on. So this graduate school really is interesting in that it takes a look at both the technology and the sort of business and the interrelationship of those, and tries to make students who are capable of making those hard decisions, because these things they cost a lot of money. If you're going to update the infrastructure and so on at a large company, it's going to cost a lot. So if you're planning for the future, you want to make sure that you're spending that money in the correct way, and that's something that this graduate school addresses. So if you're interested in anything of that sort, I highly recommend that you consider. Moving along, as I mentioned earlier, we have a campus in Kyoto. It's called Kinugasa campus, located at the top part of the city, the northern end. It's just a walk, maybe on foot, maybe 15 minutes or so from this Golden Pavilion, which is in the northern part of the city, and many other very notable temples, including Zen gardens and so on. And so at this campus, our international relations program offers their bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in English. And it's another popular one. We also have a lot of short-term programs, which I'm not going to go into detail about today, but a lot of the short-term programs take place on this campus. So there are a lot of international students, English medium international students, who are on this campus at any given time. This is a look of campus from a different angle. So it's, as I mentioned, it's really in the northern end of the city. If you go any farther north, you're just going into those mountains there. It's just mountains. So we're on First Street, which is the very top edge of the city. And if you go any towards the direction of the camera, you're heading down into the inner sort of part of the city. This building on the left here, by the way, is actually where international relations is based. So here's another look at the campus. Again, we have lots of big events every semester and every year. And Graduate School of International Relations on this campus, again, here's a look at the building here. This is, again, another popular one. And the master's program, which I'll mention now, offers an interesting program. And it's composed of 4 clusters. So global governance, sustainable development, culture, society, and media, and global Japanese studies clusters. And students are able to take courses from any of the clusters, but generally, depending on what your research topic, your topic of interest is, you're usually going to be sort of focused in one, and then picking and choosing electives from other clusters as you see fit. So there's a lot of range at this graduate school. We have a lot of professors who are, straight academics their whole lives, but then there's also a lot of professors who are coming from, central banks here, or international organizations, big NGOs, and so on and so forth. So certainly it's a popular one, and it's our program began just over 20 years ago. Before international relations was considered a thing, it wasn't considered an academic topic in Japan, and people, were looking at RIFTS and ACON with like funny looks, basically at the time. But now it's certainly recognized, and most universities have a program, or many universities have a program, but we beat most of them to the start line on that one. So moving along, I'll speak about our remaining graduate schools here very briefly, and then I'd like to take some questions if I can afterwards. So we'd like to leave some time for that. So moving along, as I mentioned earlier, we have 3 main campuses. We've already spoken about OIC and Kinugasa, so now I'll speak about BKC, or Biwako Kusatsu campus, which is located in Shiga Prefecture. And I'll also note that all 3 of these campuses, they're located in Osaka, Kyoto, and Shiga prefectures, which are, they border each other, and they're actually connected by a direct train route. So it's very easy to get from campus to campus. We also have buses that go from campus to campus. So if you happen to be involved in, some kind of activities, club activities, or you want to go to an event on another campus, it's very easy to do that either by public transport or through, the buses that we have on campus. So here at BKC, this is actually where I work on this campus. And we have the graduate schools of economics, life sciences, information science and engineering, and science and engineering, which all offer their programs in English. And information science and engineering also offers their bachelor's in English as well. And the area around the campus, or I should say the main sort of central part of Shiga Prefecture, is the biggest lake in Japan, Lake Biwako. So it's a more rural area. There's a lot of, if you're interested in any kind of outdoor activities, this prefecture and area around BKC is great for that. And we have a lot of clubs and stuff that, either do, biking on the beautiful roads, or, hiking clubs, or there's a lot of also water sports that you can participate in, what with, Biwako being so nearby, this big lake being so nearby. So these are some looks at campus. I'm just going to sort of skip through these here. So economics, we have a master's program in economics, which this is a popular one from students ranging from Africa, Asian countries, and then also Southern Asia as well. And one reason for that is because the program, of course, the courses and everything are lovely as well, but there's a great amount of sort of factory tours and also tours of local municipalities, because actually the area around BKC grew thanks to our campus sprouting up there. And also there's also like an industrial park. And so the whole city exploded with growth because they were able to successfully invite, companies that they were really hoping to get into the area. And so we have, our universities and many students, they have these companies that came in and then did very well. And so there's a lot of tours to both municipalities as well as these factories to learn from both the public and private perspective about sort of the growth of an entire community and how you can, take lessons from that and apply them to your own home countries to initiate growth in regional development. So it's quite an interesting program, and a lot of our students really enjoy it. Next, we have life sciences. And life sciences, covers topics like, biology, biochemistry, biotechnology, and biomedical informatics. So if you're interested in any of those topics, I'm, highly recommend that you consider taking a look. Next is the Graduate School of Information Science and Engineering. And this graduate school, think computer science. That's, kind of what they're covering here: computer science, AI, machine learning, robotics, and so on and so forth. This graduate school will be moving to our Osaka campus in just in April 2024. So, if you're interested in this school, you would be in Osaka after, maybe a year or so after your enrollment. I'm sorry, I'm going very quick here so we can leave a little room for some Q&A at the end. Finally, science and engineering. So science and engineering is our largest program at our university, and it's our largest graduate school. Information science, engineering, and life science is also sprouted from this school initially. But it's huge in its own right, and the largest in Western Japan, which thankfully means we have a lot of funding for great equipment. So if you're into any kind of research, anything ranging from architecture, disaster mitigation, mechanical engineering, so on and so forth. These topics are all covered. Again, it's the largest program we have. So we have professors in basically everything except for like aerospace engineering. That's something we don't cover, which sometimes we're asked about. But pretty much anything else you can think of, we have a professor for you. So I recommend you consider. So this is just a brief look here at all the programs I just mentioned. And let's see, I don't think I have too much time left. So I'll just mention very briefly, if you were to use like a Google search and search Ritsumeikan University, you'd see this as our homepage. And at the top of the screen, you can go ahead and hover over and you can see our list of graduate schools. And if you go to whichever graduate school of interest and you go down to the middle here where it says admissions at the bottom of the page, you click on that, it'll bring you the application information. So if you're interested, I definitely encourage anyone to let me stop the screen share here. If you're interested, I encourage anyone to do that and take a look at the site. And the one thing I'll mention, if you're going to apply, definitely take a look at the page first and just check out the list of faculty there. The professors are listed on that same page, and just make sure there's some faculty that are, share your interests, and then get the conversation rolling with their office or with my office, and we can definitely help you out.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Mr. Daniel. It was nothing short of incredibly informative and interesting. So now we can start the Q&A session for 5 minutes, and there are a few questions in the Q&A box. So I request you to please go through them and pick any questions to answer.
Okay, so yes, so I'll just try and go from the top here. So the first one, do we have to contact professors before applying for graduate studies? It's recommended. You definitely want to, as I just mentioned, look up the professors and make sure that you have a professor of interest at our school. And then if you can get in touch with them, definitely do it. They won't necessarily always reply because they're quite busy, but definitely reach out first to the professor. And if you can get the okay, it's going to give your chances, a much better chance of passing the admission screening, I think. I'm a third-year electronics engineering student. When do I have to apply for scholarships and the master's program? So yeah, that's the next question. For scholarships, basically, I would just say, if you apply for the master's program, and this goes for any of our schools, you're put in the running for a variety of different scholarships, which students are selected for at that, initial application timing. So you just apply for the admissions, and then if you're selected for a scholarship, great. There's that. And the admissions schedule is rolling. So we have admissions at the master's level in April and September. So basically, you can go on the site now, and we'll have an application window at some time in the very near future for the next upcoming enrollment window. So let me just try and scroll down here again from the top. Let's see. Let's see. Bachelor's. We have to, please share. Yeah, the Ritsumeikan University undergraduate program contact mail, I will share in the chat later on. So just wait for that. Thank you very much. I'll also share my own, which is for graduate admissions. If you have any questions in detail, you can send those later. So I'll share those emails in a moment. And then someone's asking, is the EJU required? So EJU is not required for master's or doctoral level admissions. If you've taken EJU, that can be used for undergraduate admissions, but it's not always necessary at the undergraduate level either. So I wouldn't jump to taking the EJU just yet. Quite a few questions here. Does Ritsumeikan offer courses in visual arts? We do have a visual arts program, but that program is entirely in Japanese, and they really, require Japanese fluency for admission. So it's kind of negative for that one, unless you happen to be fluent. Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. I think we can end the Q&A session. Thank you again, Mr. Daniel, for your time and for guiding the students. And I also request you to please share the contact details and other important information in the chat box so the student can save it for their reference. Thank you very much.
Of course, will do. And I'll continue answering questions privately here. Thank you very much.
You. So I request all of the participants, please post your questions in the Q&A box, not in the chat box, as we are looking into the Q&A box for answering your questions. So now let's move forward to the next presentation by Nagoya University. Nagoya University is national university located in Japan, and it is among the few universities selected by the Japanese government to offer international programs that are specially designed for international students. So this university have variety of multidisciplinary programs that are taught entirely in English. So today we have Ms. Kinder Marion, lead academic specialist from Global Engagement Center, to discuss study at Nagoya University. So Ms. Marion, I request you to please proceed with your presentation with all of us.
Thank you so much. Very nice introduction. So I will share my screen first and then give a little bit of background of myself, because you might wonder, who's that person talking to me for 20 minutes? I might actually not need 20 minutes because I'm usually quite fast with the presentation. Okay, so my name is Marion Kinder. I'm from the International Admissions Office at Nagoya University. So taking care of the undergrad and graduate admission process, also recruiting students. I have visited India a couple of times before. Yeah, and I will also be reading all the applications going through our office. Yes, and I have been in Japan for more than, let me think, 13, 14 years, and have been working in this office for 13 years. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Okay, so the presentation today will be covering Nagoya, because not many people actually know about the city, even though it's one of the biggest and largest city in Japan. Then I will jump into some student services and features of the university, and then talk about the programs, undergrad and graduate programs. And then also in the end, I will talk about the admissions process a little bit, just dive into it a little bit. Okay, so let's start with Nagoya. So as you can see here, it is the fourth largest city. It is a very industrial city, but also quite pretty. It has everything, but it's famous to be a bit more calm compared to Tokyo or Osaka, and uneventful. But it's, I think, very good because you can concentrate on your research and your studies. We are located right in the center of Japan. You can see the red dot in the map of Japan. They also call it the heart of Japan. 1.5 hours from Tokyo by bullet train and 45 minutes to Osaka, 30 minutes to Kyoto. And a fun fact is also that the bullet train is actually from Nagoya area. It's manufactured here. Also, I think 60% of the trade going out of our port, so it's very important for the economy. There are a lot of companies in the areas, more than 100 headquarters here as well. We also usually have an international airport that is not really functioning right now because of the pandemic, but is one of the, in my personal experience, most lovely airport with the onsen and everything. And it also has flights to India usually. Yes, and the reason why I'm mentioning this is very important for the economy is because we also have a lot of jobs in the area. So we have I think that is a common feature for many Japanese universities, a job placement rate higher than 90%. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So we here have the features of Nagoya University. It is a national university. More than 150 years ago, it was established. And also we have, as you can see here, more graduate school than undergraduate schools. So there's a lot of research going on at the university. And when I started working in the International Admissions Office, we had about 10% international students. And now we have almost 20% international students. So approximately a little bit less than 3,000 on campus. So it's kind of changing a lot in Japan. You can hear a lot of English, Japanglish. So there are many international students on campus and also a lot of Japanese students who returned from overseas who kind of speak really well English. So that means also our programs are fully taught in English. The class sizes are really small, 10 to 15 students usually. In the seminars, a bigger lecture would be 30 to 60 students. So it's really small. And I think one thing I need to mention, even though it's called international program, I usually have to talk to students and also counsel their parents. It is an international program. It's fully taught in English, but you are on a Japanese campus. So there is no escape. You will have to deal with Japanese students, especially if you do research, because the laboratory, the facilities are all shared. But I think that is a wonderful aspect of studying in Japan. And also for most of us, we are very research intensive. So I think it's very similar to maybe India. You don't sit in lectures in year 3 and 4, but you have to conduct research, join a research group. And many of our students actually work already with master and PhD students in the research laboratories. Yes, let's go with the next slide. So here you can see our main campus, the Higashiyama campus. That is where most of our programs for the undergraduate in the English taught programs are held. You can see the green line. And I think a nice feature is that we have a subway station on campus called Nagoya University, Nagoya Daigaku. So there's no escape. You can always come to campus. We also have buses and everything, and the high school, and many, many eateries and cafes. You can also easily go off campus, but the food on campus is subsidized, and also we feature to all dietary restrictions, or try to at least. Okay, and there's sports grounds as well, swimming pool, golf, anything you want to do. And I think our international students are also very active in the club activities. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Here, this is important for our students who wish to study abroad, but studying abroad. So we have 450 or 460 agreements with universities worldwide, including India as well. So if you are intending to study abroad in year 3 or 4 for 6 months or a year, then you're welcome to apply here as well. And then I have one slide. I'm from Germany. I studied in Germany in a large public university. And I think I always envy our students how much support they have here in Japan, because you get an academic advisor and a senior student that is your tutor, which is also a part-time job you can do when you become a senior student yourself. So they help you with everything, including making a cell phone contract or go to the bank to open a bank account. So they really help you in the first year at the university. There's also a career service office, because usually job hunting starts in year 3 and 4. So there is also a service for non-Japanese speakers or those who speak a little bit of Japanese, and also counseling service. So if you feel homesick or if you have anything you want to talk about, that's there. And even life skills, starting from cooking, ikebana, to, I don't know, giving speeches. So there's a lot of support on campus. You're not alone. So especially I think for parents, that is really important. Even if you're sick, we really notice, and then we call you up while you're not in class, because many of you are still very young when you come. Okay, so let's talk about the programs. So first of all, here are the undergraduate programs. We have 9 taught or 10 taught in English. First of all, there is an automotive engineering, and it's not really stated here clearly, but there are 2 different programs. One is mechanical and one is electrical. And also there's a laboratory behind these in aerospace engineering, which I saw a question earlier. Then we have chemistry, either School of Science or School of Engineering, also 2 different programs. Same for biology, and it's taught by science and agriculture, so 2 different programs. Physics in the School of Science. So these are the STEM courses. And then we have social sciences with law and international relations, business and economics. And the last program, which is also my background, is Japan and Asia Cultural Studies. So if you're interested in movie, film, theater of Japan, then you can study here. There is the QR code, but I also opened the slide. Here are the graduate programs. So there are more graduate programs available in English, but they have a different admission. And I'm usually talking about the programs where you can stay in your own home and apply, and then come when you get admitted. So as you can see, there are many, so I don't want to read out all of them. But it's also that most of the undergraduate programs continue in master and also PhD. So you have the M for master and D for doctoral program. So we do have students who come into the undergrad and continue their education for 9 years, but you can also join us for the master or PhD. Okay, I will leave this a little bit here so you can take a look. And you also have the website later, the link, so you can check there. What I would do suggest is, because the research is very important, go to each department, go to each program and check the syllabus, the graduation requirements, and the laboratories. And for us, for these programs, you would not need to contact the professor. You directly apply to the program, and later on, a professor will be given to you for your research. Okay. let's go to apply online. So this is quite important because you will apply from home before you come, and we have our own online application system. And the slides here are for the undergraduate application, but I will mention the small differences for the graduate application. So first of all, we have an online system that usually opens in November, December for undergrad, in January for the graduate programs. And it's usually all the same timeline for the undergrad and the graduate programs. And then you submit certain documents through the system, which is graduation proof. That is a document from your school institution that says that you will be graduating before you enroll into Nagoya University. Then we need the transcripts. For the undergraduate programs, we need 2 essays, but for the graduate programs, we need a research proposal. So there is a difference. And then 2 recommendation letters. And for English, if you're from India, you usually don't need to have a additional English test. That's very important. So no TOEFL, no IELTS, just a statement from your school for the high school students that the medium of instruction is English. That's enough. And for university, we know it's in English. And then standardized test. This is always a question we get. So for us, and I think for many other universities in the world and in Japan, we are test optional. So you do not necessarily need to take a SAT, ACT or anything, or a GRE. For some, it's required in the graduate program, so please take a look at each individual admission requirements. For undergraduate, we check your year 10 and the predicted or forecast for year 12 with the mark sheet, and for graduate program, similar. So standardized tests are not that important, but the transcripts, so be careful with that. Yes, and then that's the first screening. That is similar for undergrad and graduate program. And after that, if you get an invitation, you will be invited to an online interview. And for our undergraduate programs, it's also 45 minutes for engineering and science, and it's more like a oral examination, so math test and some physics or chemistry or biology. And for econ, law, and JAX, it's 30 minutes. For the graduate program, there's also an interview. It usually covers the research proposal and your research you have maybe done in the bachelor or master's. Yes, and then after that, we will send out the admission offer roughly a month later. You have to pay the registration fee, and then usually you come in September, the 3rd week, and then you have a week or 10 days of orientation. So there's not a very small orientation, and then it gets bigger, and then you have a welcome party and those kind of things. Okay, and just talking about the cost, and for the national universities at the moment, we still have all the same tuition fees. So if you can use Google, that would be for the currency converter, that would be great, because I didn't put the currency converted here. So I'm sorry about that. So there's a one-time application fee at the moment, 5,000 yen per person. Then there is a registration fee, which is a registration fee of about roughly $2,000, $2,500 to secure your seat. And the tuition fee for all national universities is roughly $5,000 at the moment, US dollars. And then there is apartments around, usually given to the first year students, first year for undergrad and first year master, first year PhD. And it's walking distance to campus. So you can really walk outside. It's really safe, so no worries. But you can also take one train station from that dormitory. It's fully furnished, not shared, and you have an air conditioner as well in the room. And so we've given you the total expenses for 4 years, which is roughly what you pay for 1 year at the US, top US university. So if you have master, just deduct half of it. PhD would be 2/3 of it. Okay, and then we have scholarships. So this is the undergraduate scholarship. So when you apply to our university, you only apply to the program, and then we kind of nominate you if you are one of the nominees for the scholarship, and tell you at the time of the offer that you also get the scholarship. So there are some other scholarships kind of hidden, but this is the scholarship the university provides. So if you get that scholarship, you don't have to pay tuition fee. The registration fee will be reimbursed, and you also get an annual stipend of roughly $4,500. That's you can keep for your pocket. There are many other government scholarships, such as MEX. Usually we have nomination. So you apply to us, and we have some in kind of drawer, and then we can give it to you. But I never know how many, so I usually don't put out the details on the website or anything. You can also apply, of course, with the MEX scholarship for the graduate program. Then there is a tuition waiver scheme that cuts often for our international students 50 to 100% off. And then many private scholarship after enrollment where you apply together with your academic advisor, and it's usually merit-based. There are some companies who have housing, but it's usually without any bond, so you don't have to pay back or anything, or work there or anything like that. Okay, just to give you an idea what our students are doing after graduation. So roughly 60% continue their education with a graduate school, 25% seek employment. Yes, 19, but it's about 20%. And then others go home or do kind of other things, gap year or something. And then these are some of the universities our students went after graduating from bachelor or master's from us. So you can see quite top names, and also anywhere in the world, if it's Europe, if it's the US, and also very interesting other Japanese universities, including Todai or Nagoya University as well. So it really depends on what kind of research you're doing, where your professor thinks you should be going. And then here are some of the companies our students found work at. It's very interesting to see that many of the students who went back to their home country actually found employment at a Japanese company, because you graduate from the university and there's some kind of trust there, I guess. And Toyota is outside of Nagoya. So our main building is also called Toyota Auditorium. So there's a lot of research on Toyota and many Toyota cars in Nagoya. Okay, and then this is the last slide from me. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us via email, Facebook, or Instagram. Visit our website. I think generally speaking, be very careful with the deadlines in Japan, because they often have a timestamp. For ours, for example, it's 4 p.m. Japan time. We have a countdown clock in the system, so you don't have to worry too much. But in general, be very careful with the timestamp and the date, because once you're out, and then all your effort is in vain. Also carefully check which documents you have to submit and which you don't, and how, especially, because everyone has a different kind of procedure. Yes, that's all from my side. I think that's it. Yeah, then I will stop sharing. And then maybe answer.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Ms. Marion. It was very fruitful and extremely grateful.
Thank you.
We can now look into the Q&A box for helping students with their doubts.
Okay, let me see. Okay, who should we choose as a recommender for the recommendation letter? Actually, that's a good question, because we have some requirements there. Depending on the program you want to apply for, there is a list on our admission requirements, so you can check. It's easy to follow. And then, for example, if you want to study automotive engineering, it would be one of them should be math. If you want to study biology, one of them should be the biology teacher. And the other one could be any teacher that knows you well. So if it could be your counselor, you're like very good in sport, ask your sports teacher. Or if you study already Japanese in high school, secondary school, then you can ask your Japanese teacher. So anyone that knows you well, plus a subject teacher. I hope this answers the question. Then I will go with the next one. Okay. Okay, there's a question. For entrance examination in Nagoya University, University of Tsukuba, and Tokyo University of Technology, is it compulsory to go to Japan for the exam? Okay, I cannot talk about the other universities, but if you find the program in the international program section, you usually don't have to go to Japan. You usually can apply and then come when you are admitted and enroll. So that was the big, I think, idea behind G30, to make it easier for you not to be in Japan, but come to Japan once you are accepted. But of course, there are different programs, international programs by university. Some of them are admissions from overseas, but some of them you have to travel. So it depends on the program you're applying for. But to my knowledge, the next has a link to JASO, and JASO has a PDF and also a search function where you can see how and from where you can apply for each individual program. Yes, so that is answered. Okay. Regarding the Japan Asia Cultural Studies, do we need to have graduate in a course related to Japan? No, English and Indian history. I think that is a very fair question, and I don't think necessarily you have to graduate from a course that is directly related. I would recommend you to send us an email, and then we will connect you to the professor if you're worried about that. And it really depends on the research proposal you're submitting. So if you have a research that is kind of touching Japan, because it's called Japan in Asia, so it might be also quite interesting for the professors to work with you on your research topic. So if you're worried about that, send us a message and then we will connect you to the professors. They're very lovely. And then you can ask your questions directly to them, who are also making the decision who will be admitted. Okay. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. And then do you have to reach out for the professors? I think 90% of our programs in the G30 program do not require you to reach out to the professor. You can always try. Sometimes they don't reply. I think there's only one program that requests you, but I'm not sure which one is exactly is, but it's clearly stated in each admission requirements if you have to or not. So read the admission requirements carefully. I do visit a lot of schools, go to a lot of conferences, and then I talk to a lot of high school counselors. And I think a good information, which is a lot of work, is for you to maybe make an Excel file for each the universities you're applying to, and then kind of check the deadlines, what you submit, how to submit, if you have to contact the professor. So it's a tedious work, but I think it helps you a lot in your application to Japan because we do not have a centralized system. Okay. Do I still have time? Should I continue?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Marian, for answering all of the questions. You can answer the rest of the questions while being in the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, can we have the agenda slide, please? Thank you. So next, we can move on to our final presentation of the day by Akita University. Akita University is Japanese National University in Akita City, Japan. It was established in 1949. It comprises of 4 graduate schools and 4 undergraduate faculties. These are faculties of International Resource Sciences, the Faculty of Education and Human Studies, the Faculty of Medicine, and the Faculty of Engineering Science. So overall, this university is therefore a combination of innovation, research, and education. So now I turn the discussion over to Professor Nozomu Mishima from Graduate School of Engineering Science, who will share some insights into the university. So I request Professor Mishima to please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Nozomu Mishima. I'm teaching mechanical engineering in Akita University, Japan. It's, as it was mentioned, it's one of the national universities in Japan. And I'm kind of nervous in presenting and explaining about the Akita University because I'm the only pure Japanese presenting today. So anyway, so as it was explained, Akita University was established in 1949, but we can trace history back to Akita Mining School, which was established in 1911. So we have pretty long history regarding the resource science and related engineering. Okay, then Akita is known as the homeland of Akita Inu, which is a famous Akita, famous traditional Japanese dog species. So you can see Akita Inu when you come to Akita. There's a facility to show exhibit Akita Inu near Akita Station. And Akita is up in the northern Japan, which is a little bit remote from major Japanese cities such as Tokyo or Nagoya. But since Japan is not a huge country, you can fly by using flight, come to Akita in about an hour or 4 hours by Shinkansen. So not so far compared to the long way from India to Japan. And one feature of Akita University is that we have a compact area concentrated, all the necessary things for international students are concentrated in the walking distance around the station, around the Shinkansen station. And Akita campus, main campus of Akita University in a walking distance from Akita station. Well, about 15 minutes or so. Well, it depends on how far you can walk. And this is showing the situation regarding the international students. And since we are not a big university, we have that in total about 4,300 undergraduate students and about 700 postgraduate students. And among those 4,300 or 700, well, these are the numbers of international students. Although this is a situation of 2 years ago, but as you know, these 2 years are kind of a special situation. So I'm showing the statistics of 2020. So this is our regular situation. And for the admission for international, self-funded international students, we have basically twice a year. And for 2 scientific majors, such as Graduate School of International Resource Science and Graduate School of Engineering Science, we have this schedule of admission. And there will be the secondary recruitment probably in December. And as for faculty and Graduate School of Engineering Science, it is consisted of 4 departments. Those are life science, material science, and mathematical science, and electronic computer engineering, and systems design engineering. And plus, in addition, as for only for graduate school, we have other major called cooperative major in sustainable engineering, in which modern society need to focus on strongly. And one feature of Akita Faculty of Engineering Science is that we are strongly focusing on AI and information science these days. And as for the first grade, we have compulsory classes such as skills in data handling or fundamental data science, fundamental AI, and so forth. And after that, in the third grade, we have some practices in some smart society classes named practices in smart society. So we are putting emphasis on these area. And these are the brief figures to explain about our 4 majors in faculty and graduate school as well. And the first one here is Department of Life Science, focusing on, say, cell biology or synthetic organic chemistry, and so on. And the second one here is Department of Material Science. There are wide coverage of area from, say, simulation of material properties or ceramic coating, practical technology in coating or membrane technology as well. And also we have a department in undergraduate department and in the graduate school major of computational science and electronic computer engineering, mathematical science and electronic computer engineering. And also focusing on then some mathematics or electrical engineering, such as motor, high performance motor, or some surgery assist based on computer technology, and so on. And the fourth one here is Department of Systems Design Engineering, which is the most, say, engineering side major. And people here are focusing on, for example, the satellite modeling or modeling of elastic wave on moon, or as for the civil engineering, on-site settlement of wood bridge, rather practical technologies to support modern society, and so on. Then the last one I would like to explain is that cooperative measure in sustainable engineering, where I belong. And as you know, sustainable technology, sustainable engineering is what the modern society needs to focus on strongly. And this is a interdisciplinary area of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and other areas as well, focusing on, for example, electrification of transportation like this, or utilization technology, or systemizing technology of renewable energies, or environmentally benign design technology, so-called design for environment. And we have some collaboration with Electrification Research Center, or local industries, or also global collaboration as well. Well, and the last thing I would like to explain is that from this year, we have started the international education program for design for environment, again, focusing on sustainable technologies in order to foster students who are keen to, say, establish sustainable societies for future and have strong eagerness to contribute on it. And the program has been launched from this April. So it's a 3 years program. So we are going to accept students from this April and next April, and then 2 years later as well. And including these subjects such as environmental studies or special theory on regional energy systems, life cycle design engineering, and earth and environmental analytical science. So including these subjects and other subjects are provided in English, which enables you to finish your studies in English as for graduate school. And I think, as well as other universities in Japan, we are providing some various support system for international students, such as counseling or university healthcare center, or some tutor system to advise regarding daily life from Japanese students to, basically from Japanese students to international students. So as I explained, we have started a new program in English, or basically most of the lecturer can speak some English and some Japanese. So they can make some supplementary explanation in English, basically. So you can finish your study in English. But please consider that if your goal is to find position in Japanese private companies, they require rather high level of Japanese, even if it's the Czech companies, major global companies. So in that aspect, Akita University is a perfect circumstance to study your major plus Japanese as well, because usually the local people in the city cannot speak English well. So you need to have some Japanese skill to have comfortable life here. And also, most of the students are not really good at English, so you'd better speak some Japanese to make friends here. And okay, that's the official end of the official part of my presentation. And then Akita is known as the very thick nature and remaining traditional Japanese culture. And this is the cherry blossom in nearby city called Kakunodate City, and which is known as the samurai residence, remaining samurai residence. And in spring, it's famous for, well, cherry blossoms. And also, well, these 2 years, as you may know, this kind of festival was all canceled, but it will be restarted from this year, I think. So in summer in Omagari City, which is also a nearby city, one of the 3 major firework festivals in Japan will be in Akita. And in autumn, you can see the cold leaves in Oyasukyo, which is the well-known onsen area, hot spring area nearby. Or you can see the background, the deepest lake in Japan, Lake Tazawa. And around the lake, you can find some skiing ground. I don't know whether you're familiar with snow or skiing, but you can enjoy those activities if you come to Akita. And Akita has one of the best hot spring in Japan. This is called Nyuto Onsen. So the winter is one of the good seasons in here. And also Akita is known as a rather famous summer festival called Kanto Festival. So the Kanto performer is carrying this huge Japanese traditional lantern on their back or in their head or hip, and then strolling around the boulevard. And at night, it's a kind of so beautiful. And we have some other, programs too for international students to enjoy the Japanese culture, such as mochi making, or Akita University also has a Kanto team, and they're including international students, and they're performing rather good till 3 years ago, but it will be restarted from this year, I think. Okay, so we're waiting for you to come over. And if you would like to have some more information, you can take a look at our English webpage. And you can also contact me at here for further information. So thank you for your attention, and that's it for my presentation today.
Thank you, Professor Mishima. Thank you for such an informative and interesting presentation. Now we'll just begin the Q&A session. So would you like to answer any specific questions that are there in the Q&A box?
Student who is already pursuing PhD can get the university for any collaboration for carrying out research. And the next one, hello, Professor, do you cover aerodynamics in mechanical engineering undergraduate? Yes, we do have a lecturer who are engaged in aerodynamics or hydrodynamics in our mechanical engineering. And also we have undergraduate programs. So in detail, I'd like to provide some information for our undergraduate admission later. So please email me first, and then I will reply you. And does Akita University provides research assistant position in different engineering departments? Well, it depends. In some occasion, in some lecture, we do, but not regularly. Hi, I am science graduate. Can I apply for Master in Science in Akita University? Master in Science in which area? It depends, but you have a possibility. After graduation, you can apply for some science or engineering graduate school or graduate program. So for detailed information, please contact me in email again, which area you're focusing on and so forth. And how would you describe your aerospace program? Describe. Regarding our aerospace program, we are not really focusing on the say engine or some in aerodynamics. We are mainly focusing on the electrification of all the control system and so forth. So again, I can provide some detailed information regarding that. And Shima-san, ありがとうございます for the presentation. I was able to find the environmental studies graduate program on the website. Kindly provide the link for the same, if possible. Well, I will, but I need your contact address first. So please email me first. Well, it's kind of difficult to catch up. Which one should I? Your emails and other details. Well, how can I input my email address for all? Okay, this is my email address, so you can contact me for detailed information. Okay, so the last one is for Nagoya University, so not for me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Mishima. Thank you for your presentation, for answering all of the questions. I request you to please share other information related to your university in the chat box for our audience today.
Thank you.
So I think that's it for today. We can conclude this webinar. Thank you all for attending, and we hope you have learned and enjoyed this webinar. Thank you to all the presenters today for answering those questions and for your great presentation. It was a pleasure to have you with us. So just to inform you that in our upcoming webinar, there are a lot of more information pertaining to study and work in Japan will be given to you. So please stay tuned and register yourself to participate in our upcoming webinar. You can register from our website, or you can follow our Facebook or Instagram page for more updates regarding study and work in Japan webinars. And if you still do have any questions, please feel free to shoot us an email. Have an amazing day. Work hard to catch your dream. So see you all in our next session on 14th June. Thank you. Thank you very much.